A pleasant day to each and every one of us. My name is Alker Impama, and what I'm going to report is the 1899 Malolos Constitution. Now, before we deep dive into this constitution or topic of mine, here's a table of contents in which first we're going to define the Malolos Constitution, the salient points of it, and the observance of the two articles, and the synthesis of the Malolos Constitution. And in this table of contents na rin is in line with the guide question that Ma'am Sharon has provided for me. So, let's get define the Malolos Constitution or get to know the Malolos Constitution. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind is that this is the first Philippine Constitution, no? And the first Republican Constitution in Asia and was drafted and adopted by the first Philippine Republic and which lasted from 1899 to 1901. And during the American occupation, the Philippines was governed by the laws of the United States of America. So the next one is that this text is provided by the link that has given to me in which the according to official gazette.gov.ph that the 1899 Malolos Constitution daw is approved by the Malolos Congress on November 29, 1898, drafted returned by the President Aguinaldo on December 1, 1898 for amendments which the Congress refused, approved by the President Aguinaldo on December 23, 1898, and formally adopted by the Malolos Congress on January 20, 1899, and promulgated by the President Emilio Aguinaldo on January 21, 1899. Since we already know no, what is the Malolos Constitution, how it is approved and adopted, let's proceed to the salient points of the Constitution or the most noticeable thing that has mentioned in this Constitution. Now, here are the salient points. First is the popular sovereignty and limited presidential powers, Bill of Rights, republic with the president, separation of church and states, and separation of powers. Now, let's give a reason why these are the salient points now. First is the popular sovereignty. Now, in simple terms now, this is outlined in the Article 3 of the Malolos Constitution means that the power has been granted to the Filipino itself rather than the ruling class, meaning to say the power is on the people. No, doon nanggagaling yung government power. Now, the next one is the limited presidential powers. Now, one thing that I've observed in Malala's constitution is that it imposes restrictions on president's authority in a way that the president to negotiate things is limited and most aspect that the president covered needs an approval before it will be executed, diba? The next one is the republic with president. Now, the thing in the past 300 plus years or so is that since we are colonized country in which people can't have a Filipino leader as our as a head of our states. Now, when Malolo's constitution was approved, it drastically changes from a colonial country to a republic country, and in which this is a good thing naman because it gives us an autonomy in governing our homeland. Now the next one is the Bill of Rights. Now, during the Malala's Constitution, it highly ensures that fundamental rights of such as freedom of speech, religion, and assembly. Now, these rights are essential parts of democracy, and it's also safeguarding the individual liberties and promoting a free and open society. Now, next one is the separation of church and state. Now, the Philippine Constitution acknowledges the freedom and equality of religions. No, it maintains a clear separation between the churches and the states, and it was mentioned in the Title 3 and Article 5, in which recognizes the safeguarding religious freedom and equality. The thing is, kahit na anong religious affiliated ka man, the government don't want to interfere with you, no? That's the simple terms in explaining why is the separation of church is the salient points. So, next one is the separation of powers. Now, the separation of powers is directly in the Article 4, Malala's Constitution, in which it establishes three branches of government. The legislative, in which the Congress, executive, that is led by the presidential, and judicial, in which composed of Supreme Court, and lower courts. So now let me discuss to you the two articles in which I'm going to provide my own insights. First article that I'm going to discuss to you is the Article 68. Now, this Article 68 is that it focuses the limitation of the president's power in specific situations related to national sovereignty and international relations. Now, my findings are divided into two parts, the interesting one and the disturbing one. Now, the interesting one, first thing is the congressional oversight. Now, this article requires president to have a special authorization from Congress for specific action. Para siya yung binanggit ko kanina na kailangan pa ng approval ng Congress para ma-execute itong bagay na to. Now, next one is the protection of national territory. Now, the requirement for the congressional approval for ceding or exchanging Philippine territory safeguards the nation's integrity. Next one is the transparency in treaties. Now, the need for congressional approval for treaties, especially those involving alliances like subsidies or obligations on Filipinos, promotes transparency in international relations. And next one is the disturbing one, diba? Now, first thing that disturbs me is the potential for delay or gridlock. Kasi nga, since we need some congressional approval for actions, diba? It no, it creates a delay or it prevents necessary actions like if the president and the Congress are on bad terms, diba? It will obviously create a delays. Now, next one is the limited public participations rather. Now, while Congress represents the people, no, the article doesn't explicitly mention that the public participation in approving certain actions, diba? And also this raises question about the extent of public involvement in decisions with mga national repercussions. Now, the next one is the Article 93. Now, in this article is that it addresses the use of the languages here in the Philippines and has an interesting aspects but also has a limitations, no? Now, for the positive aspects that the protection of indigenous languages. Now, in these articles daw is that it discourages the government to mandate use of any specific language, diba? So, parang in simple terms talaga is it protects the native languages here in the Philippines, diba? So, for the limitations naman is in this article, no, ginawang official ginawang parang temporary default language for official purposes ang Spanish language, 'di ba? But for me no, it's very disadvantage for those who are not very familiar with Spanish kasi nga hindi siya applicable sa lahat. So, the next one is the synthesis. So, after all the things that we have been discussed, we're going to provide the synthesis or parang more like conclusion. You know? Now, the first thing that this constitution brings to the table is that this is the pioneer for democracy because it establishes framework for a democratic government like separation of powers like yung mga mention ko kanina like between the executives, legislatives, judicial branches and also the separation of churches and government and pwede mo na rin include yung Bill of Rights, di ba? Now, the second one is the republic with safeguards, in which, in this constitution, the Philippines was declared a republic with a president, diba? And as a head of state. But yun nga, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it has limitations pa rin for the president to prevent unilateral decisions. Meaning ng unilateral decision is that a decision that is based on one person only, in which in this instance is the president. Now, the last one is the Philippine sovereignty because in this constitution, no, it enshrines that the people are the source of government's power, in which a very novel concept here in the Philippines. So, I guess that's all, no? I hope you learned something. I hope I've given you an enlightenment in this wonderful topic that I have. And yeah, thank you.